Welcome back to the Be Free Show. We're so excited for our episode on health. We have our great friend, Aaron Simpson, who's our personal fitness coach. I'm going to toss it over to Ali to tell you something about Aaron.
Yeah, we call him Coach Ace. He's from Detroit, like me.
Representing.
Yes. He has quite a career. You were formerly a professional basketball player. You were in the NBA Development League for a while.
Yep.
And you moved out to New York City, did some
did.
acting, modeling.
Very little, but enough to put it on my resume.
And you bring all of that skill set into your personal training, but you also bring this intersection of, mental health and physical health, which is what we're here to discuss today. So we're so excited.
I'm happy to be here.
And these we're recycling some of our lessons from last season. You want to?
Yeah, so last season we talked about train your spirit. We talked about training your mind.
Yeah.
And then the third thing we talked about is training your body. And the reason why we set it up that way is we believe that it's important for you to conquer what's going on in your mind and your spirit, which will allow you to have success with training your body. And Coach Ace is wonderful at that. He helps us to think about how do you get past some of those doubts in your mind. That's to train your spirit.
Right.
He helps us get past some of those psychological things where you think, I can't do this, I can't make it past an exercise. I have a lot of examples of that from when I was training with it. And the third thing is training your body. So, how do we build up a good regimen? So, so Ace, when you first start working with the client, you do an initial assessment, usually around the mind and the spirit. And can you talk to us about how do you help them set those two areas so they have the body results?
Okay, so the way I like to operate is I'm all about purpose. And, in this industry, especially after the new year, we have a lot of people that come in that want a specific weight goal.
Yeah.
But the issue is a lot of the people that want that, they never had the consistency or the discipline to do it in the first place. So what happens on the road and the path to there, whatever that success is, if they're hitting a roadblock, it's very difficult for them to push past it because they haven't built the skill set need to, and their purpose isn't big enough.
Yeah.
So before we even get started on what we actually have to do, I need to know exactly why you want to do it.
Yeah.
And you have to give me reasons, whether it's your family, your marriage, your children, your career, spirituality. If you feel like God is leading you to a place where physically you're not able to get to that point yet, and we need to improve on that, I need to know that at the very beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. It's beautiful because a lot of personal trainers like to capitalize on the new year.
Yeah,
absolutely. Time to bring in my money, time to bring in my clientele.
Yeah.
When somebody says, hey, it's a New Year's resolution, I'm trying to look good, I'm trying to get ready for the summer.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? What do you do with that why? A why that may not be as substantive as it needs to be to sustain you.
But then I also know too, as a coach, because I never call myself a trainer, but as a coach, I understand that you can't coach everyone the same. So it is my responsibility to meet them where they currently are and help them get to that point where I know that they can get to. But the way that works for me is I have to understand that I'm not the hero of the story. I'm the guide. I'm the light that just reveals the step that's realistic for them to approach first before showing them the whole staircase. So if someone is approaching me and they want to get in better shape, and if they don't know exactly what their purpose is, that's fine. We'll get to that point. But it's all about creating momentum. Yeah. So if they want to get 30 pounds lost and they don't know exactly why they're doing it, okay, let's get started on it. But over time, as they start to feel better and they get the momentum, they start to think clearly and more bigger that way.
Yeah, and I can really relate to that, and in particular when I was training with you, in terms of getting me past the doubt of my ability, to be able to do the exercises. And I remember you telling me, to go slow, it's okay. You don't have to master the whole gym in one day. You just take baby steps, and it's about appreciating where you are at the moment, and then being able to continue to work and move forward, which I think was a great technique for me, and I was pretty impressed with that because somehow you were able to size me up early on and could tell that I maybe wanted to come in and master everything right away. But you did it in such a way that was very graceful.
Well, thank you.
To help me realize these are baby steps to this ultimate goal that I want to get to.
So one of the things I've realized over time, even using myself as an example, is you have to respect and honor where you're at. And normally what happens when you're trying to get somewhere, you want to get there so fast that you start to oversee all the small goals and landmarks that you're getting along the way. So normally if I get someone that wants to lose 30 pounds, they have 30 pounds over their head, right? So if they lose 1 pound in a week or two, they still have 29, 28 pounds over their head, and they're not looking at the 1 to 2 pounds that they lost. So my responsibility is to get them to focus on the progress and not that immediate result they want right now.
You said something profound when we had a conversation about this once. You said, the person has to be in the mind space of, I deserve to be here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really honoring where they are at this present place in time, even though it may not be aligned with their goal or vision for themselves, but to just give themselves enough self-compassion to say, I deserve to be here at this way, in this state, right?
Yep.
And I want to get somewhere else. But
yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a very important point, but it's also a point that's very difficult to hear. And we are where we are based off the choices that we made or didn't make.
Right.
And I feel, again, using myself as an example, when I started to gain my life, I guess you can say, I had to take ownership of my stuff, whether it happened to me or I brought it to myself.
Yeah.
So if someone is in a situation health-wise where they're not where they want to be, they have to own that and they have to respect that, because if you don't, you're not going to appreciate where you go from there.
Right.
Because fitness is a journey, right? But it's more spiritual than anything.
Yes.
Because you're trying to make yourself, and you're committing to being the best version that God created you to be.
Right.
And as we talk about purpose, if physically you cannot get there, you start to eliminate the possibilities of actually meeting that person of potential that God created to be.
Right.
Yes.
So you have to respect the smaller wins. You have to be faithful over few before you can be ruler over many.
Yeah, you better preach it, brother.
Amen.
And I think you are starting to go into our second one with this training your mind, this idea of how do you get past the psychological roadblocks that sometimes come up, when you're training. And I'll, use myself as an example. We were working out and I wasn't seeing the pounds fall off, but I was seeing the inches come.
Right.
And, and I was, I had a couple slip up with the eating, but I was sort of at a stunted process. And I remember you came in and you're like, what's going on? Like something is, or how stressed are you?
Yeah.
And he said on a scale of 1 to 5, and I said 3.75. He said, even your numbers are stressed. I just remember laughing so hard. And then 5 minutes later, I was crying because, he really hit me. And it was the stress that I was having in my life was impacting my gym results.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to appreciate my process.
Yeah.
And it was impacting, there's a true science behind this, that if you
Right.
are stressed, especially as women, we will hold on to that weight and we won't
Right.
see our progress. And for me, that was just a great example of, I'm like, this guy's for real. Like he really cares about me as a person, because, and that roadblock, I was able to overcome it because I took some time off. He was like, maybe we need to take some time off the gym. Don't come down here, niece. Don't try to sneak down here.
I don't want you to see the gym. I don't want you to see anything.
And that week recharged me, reset me, and I just have such a fire back in me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the thing is about the gym that, is so profound is that it's completely non-subjective. So you are in complete control of this, situation, in complete control of this, where when we walk outside our doors, we lose it. And if you're bringing in that added stress into that environment, it affects the control that you actually have. And then one of the things that I live by is you have to sacrifice short-term satisfaction for long-term fulfillment.
Yes.
And in order to do that, you have to understand that in this situation, for an hour or hour and a half that we're in here, this is all about me.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters but making myself become the best version that I was created to be.
Yes.
And if you're bringing work, if you're bringing family, if you're bringing all the other stresses into that atmosphere, it's going to, little by little, start to sacrifice and cut your results off.
So we had some bold points for you in season 1 that we are resurfacing now. This idea that when we doubt our abilities, we've believed specific lies about ourselves. That was the train your spirit.
Right.
With the mind, when our dieting and exercise are out of whack, then so are our emotions. It's a time to really look inward to see what's going on. And with the train your body, we said that regardless of willpower, we all need goals and a regimen. So Ace, you have just incorporated New Normal Fitness.
I did.
Right?
Yes.
Of course, the mind and spirit journey is a big part of what you do, but you do not play games when it comes to that real, regimen either. And so talk to us about that and some of the ways you approach that with your clients.
Well, structure is very important, and especially if you're on a journey at the very beginning. If it's something that's new for you, you have to have structure. Because like I said earlier, when you're trying to build discipline, your feelings get in the way.
Yeah.
And you can't listen to those feelings. But it's hard to not give in if you don't have the skill set to go past it.
Yeah.
So one of the ways we work around that is building a plan, having some type of guideline that you can always revert back to. And I always tell people every single time, there's going to come to a point where the old you and the new you are going to meet. The person that you're trying to leave behind and the person that you're trying to get are going to hit a crossroad. And you have to be able to go back to the reasons why you're doing this, the structure that we built, the discipline that we're trying to get, and the person that you're trying to meet, and you're going to have to push past that. If you don't have the structure, if you don't have the reasons, if you don't have the purpose, you're going to go back to the old one that you're trying to leave behind, and then it gets harder and harder and harder to get to that person you're trying to get to. So regiment, structure, discipline is extremely important if you're trying to get to the success that you're trying to reach.
Yeah, amen. That's so true. This idea of meeting the old self and the new self. And I remember I came back from a vacation in Miami and I was like, Ace, I saw the vision of like the me that I'm trying to meet. She was in a coral dress. She had fit arms. And it was the first time I could conceptualize seeing what I wanted the healthy version of myself to be. And, you know, it was so empowering for me because I'm a very visual person. And so although I was, you know, working out and following the regimen, I didn't have a physical look like what did Anise look like? What does that version of her look like? And I remember you saying, and probably at a time when he was like kicking my butt doing ab work, and you're like, but she's already here. You're just trying to get the two of them to meet. And that was really profound for me because it moved my mindset from a place of lack to like, this person actually exists. And so, I just thought that was really powerful. And I think that was the way that you were like, I was in the body working out, you know, but you were able to tie in that mindset and that spirit piece all in one.
That's one thing too. It's when people are really trying to get there, you have to understand that you already are there. You're just unraveling it. And again, that's where I don't want to be the hero of the story. I'm helping you see that. And then once I help you see that, I'm out. Because now I've empowered you. Right? And now after that, you're probably going to do that to someone else along the way too. So, you know, what I want to encourage anyone that's out there that's struggling in that area, you already are that person that you're trying to get to. You already are that person. It's just little by little we're chipping away so everyone else can see it.
And don't give up. I mean, for me, that was so huge. You know, the constant encouragement that I got, not only from you, but from my mom, from other people. My mom has had an incredible fitness journey, and I would tell her, Mom, how do you do it? How have you been for over a decade just consistent in the gym? No matter what tragedy or trials or tribulations have come your way, you've been in it. And she told me, you know, you're seeing the last decade or so. You're not seeing the 30 plus years it took to get to this point where I really trained my mind, trained my spirit to be able to do this. So
and that's a unique point that you brought up. Having accountability partners is huge. And you know, whether that's in business or spirituality or in fitness, having people that you're telling your goals to and them holding you accountable for that is huge because we need help. You know, like we're not experts. You know, we're en route to progression, not perfection. And you have to fill in the gaps. So where you're weak at, you have to have a backup plan to fill that in. And having an accountability partner or even a workout buddy to hold you accountable for getting up early or for going to training after work or putting that donut down or putting that pizza down. You have to have someone that's watching over your back. You know, so it's very important too to share your goals, but share them with someone that you trust. Don't go on Facebook. You know, don't go on Instagram and say hashtag New Year, New Me, because you're going to say that for 3 more years, right? I know how it goes. Like, it's funny, but it's true because you have to understand, like, there's no time like now. Right? And you have to remember that every single day that you wait to get there, it's another day that your purpose is waiting as well. Right? So the sooner that you get on it, the closer that your purpose comes to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just a great way for us to think about, you know, how do we sort of tie this up in a bow? And it's why we wanted to talk about On Health from an inside out perspective, because it really is winning in life from the inside, and then that will then manifest, you know, on the outside. And I would just speak to, it's, you know, we've, I think, been on a health journey, you know, ourselves as friends. And, you know, I think I'd posted on Instagram, like combined, we've lost like 83 pounds in the past like 2 years. And a lot of it came from being accountability accountability partners, you know, and like holding each other accountable, you know, when we see the other person eating something that they're not supposed to be eating, or, you know, just, and that has been really helpful to be vulnerable as well, you know, because when you're on a weight loss journey that is both inside and outside, it's a very vulnerable place if you are actually focusing in on the mind and the spirit. And so I would definitely double click on having someone that you can be honest with, that you can share your ups and your downs with, that can be your, you know, your buddy, your partner along the way.
And I want to say this, there's no cookie cutter formula for this stuff. You know, for me, I was previously somebody who lifted really heavy weights in the gym, did a lot of squatting, did a lot of, you know, bench pressing, things like that. And I realized that it was putting a stress on my body and on my back in particular, because I've struggled with back issues for many years, that I just wasn't prepared to handle. And so I went to an honest chiropractor who told me, you need to be doing yoga instead of coming to me, right? So he's like, stop spending your money here, go to yoga. And yoga has entirely transformed my life, but also allowed me to get back into the gym with you and lift weights again in a more healthy fashion.
And that's another good point too, is that fitness is a one size fits nobody plan. You can't give everybody the same thing, and you can't give everybody the same nutritional program. That's why it's very important that, you know, you have to find someone who's a coach and not a trainer. And what I mean by trainer is no disrespect, but in the business, because you know, if you're working for a gym, the income is very low. So instead of you becoming an actual client that someone cares about, you start to become a number. And so when you start to become a number, they stop paying attention to you as a person. Right? So you want to find someone that's actually caring about what your goals are, who you are, what's your strengths and weaknesses, what's your past history. Like, we need to know all of that, because we have to have a plan of action to get you around all the weaknesses and the loopholes and the potholes that you had in the past to get you to where you're supposed to be.
Amen. I have to say that I'd be remiss as we wrap this up if I didn't mention 53 of those 83 pounds were done by you in 1 year. And it was during our doctoral studies where we were working full-time and writing a dissertation, and you had just moved into a new city, right? It was an absolutely incredible journey, and I want to bring it up not only, you know, to give you kudos for that incredible accomplishment, but also because for me it was the perfect tie-in of spirit, mind, and body alignment. You hired a nutritionist, you got a diet plan together, you started walking to work, you were walking miles a day, you got a Fitbit, you were tracking your steps. I mean, it was a truly comprehensive plan, and there's no way the spirit and mind wasn't aligned for you to do that during such a strenuous time. And so I remember you told me once, it was profound, you said, listen, it was a type of year where I was either going to lose 50 pounds or gain 50 pounds. So if you want to kind of tie the bow for us, is how'd you do it? And I continue to be so inspired by that journey.
Oh, thank you. You know, I'd said when I turned 30, I didn't want to be overweight in my 30s. And I was turning 35 that year in New York. And I was like, I'm 5 years past my goal. Like, I'm 5 years too late. And it was actually August the 1st when I made that decision in my mind. I'm like, I don't want this to be my story anymore. I want to live a healthy life. I don't want to be yo-yoing up and down. And I just knew I didn't want that. I didn't want to be struggling with that anymore. I didn't want to have in the mindset, like I said on season 1, you know, the cute girl with, like, you know, the chubby girl with the cute face. I didn't really want that to be my story anymore. And I really just took to focusing on God and peeling back a lot of those layers to figure out what was stopping me from losing weight. And it was really the regimen of, you know, I have to wake up at this time to work out. I have to then go to work. I'm going to walk to work, getting the Fitbit. And to pick up on your part where you said you should tell people, I told my supervisor, I said, hey, I want to work on my health. And every meeting we went to, she's like, we're taking the steps. She bought me a $75 gift certificate to SoulCycle. So then she invited me to a Fitbit. She invited me to a Fitbit challenge every week. So it became like this thing where people were around me and rallying around me and supporting me along that way. But
beautiful.
Wow.
Thank you. Testimony.
Super powerful.
Any last words from the coach?
I guess if there's anything I can leave, it is start now. You know, you're never ready to do it. You just got to do it. And if you need help, I'm pretty sure they're going to put my Instagram or email, or you can go to Google and search for a legit fitness coach and find someone that can help you get there. But, you know, I just want you guys to understand that you can't stay in victimhood. You know, you have to respect and honor where you're at. That's step number 1. It's okay to not be where you are right now, but it's not okay to stay there. It's not okay to stay there mentally, okay? Physically, it's okay because it's going to take time, but mentally, you have to break free because we're not about victimhood here. We're about being free.
Exactly. Amen.
Well, you can find us anywhere online at Be Free Show, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere.
Absolutely.
We love you all.
And be free.